I want to make sure that they're all invested in something. And our politicians said, I'm going to do that for the firemen. I'm going to give them a raise, and we can do it. And they've come up with this system between the two of them, between the union bosses and the politicians, that make no sense at all. Remember, we told you, we showed how it has to happen. One firefighter in California retires, and it takes 40 new firefighters getting paid by the city to pay his pension. Well, that doesn't work. You don't need that many firefighters. There's not enough union dues in the country to be able to pay that kind of system. It wasn't ever intended to last. So it has to stop. Now, can we be adults and talk about the real system that has been created and recognize that it is the labor union bosses who may have just been playing the game because that's the way it is. I mean, of course it's going to keep going up, and they really believed it. Others didn't. They knew better. And the politicians that knew better. We're going to play that game, and all of us be screwed. And there's a big difference between the public sector union and private. No, private sector, it's a completely different deal. You can't be bargaining with other people's money. We got the fact, and we're just blindly accepting, oh yeah, collective bargaining is a right. When? Since when? Collective bargaining, we've got no right to collectively bargain in this business here. And here's an amazing thing. It never, ever went to the people. Never. It was an executive order from JFK. An executive order. Why? Because they know they couldn't get it through. People know when you explain how it works that you are being bargained with, and you're not at the table. You're not at the table. And they are using your money. The politicians are taking your tax dollars to grow their voter base by giving it to the union. And the union leaders, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're in the union, you give your money to the union. And then they do with it what they will. And they elect the politicians. So that's the problem. That is the problem. They're using your money, the taxpayer dollars, and the union workers' money to get themselves elected. And what was the general counsel of the NEA said about, but he's not going farewell speech, which we have if you want to play. But here's what he said about what this is all about.
And that brings me to my final and most important point, which is why, at least in my opinion, NEA and its affiliates aren't such effective advocates. Despite what some among us would like to believe, it is not because of our creative ideas. It is not because of the merit of our petitions. It is not because we care about children, and it is not because we have a vision of a great public school for every child. But the NEA and its affiliates are effective advocates because we have power.
Okay. Can you not say that about every union? And especially the public union. They're about power. Yeah, and it is organizing for America. That's it. Negotiation is based on the idea that you have two sides that are kind of pulling against each other, and they find the sweet spot in between them. And when you have a union that's getting politicians elected, it's essentially the unions negotiating with the unions with our money. It would be like this. It would be like GM. Let's use GM. If GM had the union boss be the president of GM, if they could get him elected, and so you had a new union boss negotiating against the old union boss, the shareholders would rise up and say, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. Just the same as if you had, you had the president of Walmart go in and he found a way to get himself elected as the president of the union. And then that union president was meeting with the new president of Walmart. The union members would stand up and say, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. They are getting their union buddies. Remember, Barack Obama just said if collective bargaining comes up in 2007, I will take off these shoes and I'll put on comfortable shoes and I'll march the picket lines with you. How much money has the union spent to get him elected? How much money did the union spend to destroy or to reward those with health care? Who is the number one visitor during health care? Who is the number one visitor at the White House? Andy Stern, union SEIU. Who now is the number one visitor, or one that calls and is at the White House 3 times a week? His own words, I'm at the White House 3 times a week. I talk to somebody in the administration every single day. Richard Trumka, AFL-CIO. And by the way, this is the way Lenin did it. If you go back again to theblaze.com, read the story on theblaze.com about the... where is it here? I want to find it. It is about who is financing it's about halfway down, I think, now. About who is financing these weekends. Yeah, it's about halfway down. Blaze exclusive International Socialists orchestrate unions rally to save the American dream. This is the union protest in 50 states. The permit in Washington, D.C. was given to the International Socialist Organization. Does that represent you, unions? Union workers? Is that who you are? Because that's who your union bosses are. And that's really what this is all about. And when Lenin put it together, it was the unions that caused the revolution. It was the unions, workers of the world unite. This is a communist revolution. But that sounds so ridiculous to say that it's not said.
It is, at least to some of them. Some of these leaders actually believe that's what they're doing. And you have to separate a legitimate complaint from a teacher from that.
Yes. Because that's not the teachers, I don't think.
No.
That's not the firefighters, definitely. It's not the cops, definitely.
Right.
They're not doing that. But the leaders are. Remember, I think it was... I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Lenin again. He said, organize... No.